Hello guys and welcome back. Today we have some really big information to cover thanks to the research done by Stephen Chapman. I'll link his YouTube channel in the original video down below if you guys want to check that out. But before I get into anything, make sure to follow me on Twitter at Hayder for updates on all things Borderlands and future videos. So with that, let's get right into it. Okay, so this video will mostly be covering LinkedIn accounts for the roles people have posted in regards to Borderlands 3. The first comes from Noriko Stanton, who is listed as a localization specialist, translator, and interpreter. Then down in her work experience, we can see that she worked for 2K as a localization quality assurance tester for the Japanese language, and below that she has a list of all of her credits in games that she has worked on. Most notably is Borderlands 3 at the very top, which aligns with the rumors that we have heard in the past few months from Triple S League that Borderlands 3 has begun the localization process for a release sometime relatively soon. And now this pretty much confirms it that what they were saying was true. Something else I think is interesting and worth mentioning is that the time frame that she worked from 2K is from April 2016 to June 2018. So whether she left once her portion of work on Borderlands 3 was done, or whether she just left when it was still being worked on is not really known. But it does kind of give us an interesting time frame to consider where exactly Gearbox is with the development of Borderlands 3. In the last leak, we've heard it's around 80 to 85% of the way done. But if they've had localization starting back in June, maybe it could be further along than what we initially thought. That's the biggest one, obviously. Localization means that the game is getting close to release. If you guys don't know what that is, that's transferring all the game from one language into another. So when Gearbox develops, it's going to be in English, and then they usually outsource companies or outsource specialists to translate the game. The next mention comes from Ghostpunch Games. They're an independent game studio that has helped on a ton of 2K games, but also Borderlands games. They've helped on every single game in the series, including Tales from the Borderlands, and on their website they have a coming soon game listing that has the 2K logo along with the Gearbox Software logo as a placeholder. Now, if you aren't already convinced that it is Borderlands 3, then we can go further to another LinkedIn profile by Art Shear, who under their experience they list freelance work at Ghostpunch Studios working on Borderlands 3. And the work on the game was done all the way back in May of 2017. So these two obviously connected. Ghostpunch, I assume the next thing that they're going to release on their website is Borderlands 3, and they do say coming soon. And the final listing that Steven mentions is Richie Mason, who's a weapons artist and worked for Gearbox from July of 2016 to December of 2016, where he created, quote, high quality weapon assets for the Borderlands 3 franchise. There's not too much information here other than Gearbox was working on weapons back in 2016. And if you want to see what his artwork could be like, you guys can go to his art station. I'll link that down below. You can see his art and maybe get an idea of what to expect or what he would have helped with on Borderlands 3. Okay, so all those job listings were information covered by Stephen Chapman. But I wanted to bring you guys some more information, so I scoured LinkedIn, found 2 more job reports that we've never covered that have Borderlands 3 directly mentioned in them. So the first that I found was a design director at Gearbox Software, John Mulkey. He was initially on the Battleborn team at Gearbox, and then he says that he went on to work on Borderlands 3. Something else that's interesting is that he said then he still had time after working on Borderlands 3 to work on an unannounced project for a new tentpole IP for Gearbox Software, which once again has me thinking how far along Gearbox actually is in development if they are able to move people off Borderlands 3 and onto something new. So John left Gearbox back in May of 2018. Quick side note, I love how easily he mentions Borderlands 3 in his profile, but doesn't say anything about what this new IP is or any potential titles. So I wonder what else Gearbox has been working on and what their idea for a new tentpole IP is. I would rule out their earlier project that they've kind of been working on, Project 1v1. That's not a tentpole series or anything I would consider. So it's probably something new, and that could be a whole nother video what their next project could be. And the last mention of Borderlands 3 I found on anyone's profile directly was a freelance illustrator, Jason King, who worked at Gearbox from April of 2015 to October of 2016. In this time, he said he initially worked on Battleborn, and then what must have been the early stages of Borderlands 3. Not too much other information. I'll link his art station again if you guys want to see his artwork or see the type of designs that he does. So the main takeaway from this news is that everyone has been very quick to dismiss all these leaks and information that Supmato and Triple S League have been bringing to the forefront, but evidence is starting to come out, tangible evidence that you guys can see and go check for yourselves. It's crazy that this game still has not been announced, especially now that we know, confirmed, that localization has been worked on and probably is still being worked on. Most likely, Ghostpunch Studios has already finished their work on the game, and they're even at a point where game directors like John Mulkey feel they're at a good spot where they could leave the company and work on something new. There's a lot of information here for you guys to think about. Huge shout out to Steven Chapman. Go check out his video, subscribe to his channel for bringing this information to the community. Like and share my video, subscribe for future Borderlands content, and I will see you guys in the next one.